Karina told me how Nigeria is full of crazy things, and we were talking about how crazy things just kind of happen everywhere, and wanted to talk about those the different kind of crazy things we run into today. So anything you want to say to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, sure. My name is Karina. On Hive, I go by young boss-karin. Crazy story there. But I'm a writer mostly, and a designer in training. And yeah, I guess that's what I do. I'm also getting into podcasting and all that, but mostly writing and designing for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right before we pressed record, we were talking about massage in Nigeria.
Yeah. Yeah, massages. Okay, we we have the normal massages that you get, the ones you see in spas and all. And we have those ones are pretty expensive. So not everyone can afford them. But we also have the really cheap ones.
Mm.
And cheap ones, I hear they work better, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. I prefer the massages at spas just
Uh-huh.
because they're cleaner and a friendlier face. So these local ones, you could get it in like you go and you'd see a shack. I don't you know what a shack looks like, right? Wooden houses, nah, mostly dirty environments, like at
Mm.
least the ones I know of. And it's either a really old lady or a scary looking person. And and people go for massages for different reasons. Um, the one I know of the most is ladies who want to get pregnant. So they go there and they are massaging their womb. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Wait, wait. When you told me that women go there to they want to get pregnant, my imagination went somewhere else. I thought that they were getting impregnated in the
No,
massage.
no, 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 no,
Oh my god!
no, 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 no.
Because there are videos on the internet of these kind of places too. So
Yeah,
if you go to the wrong website or if you go to the right website, you see there's
yeah.
fetishes for that kind of thing. So so I was imagining. And since we wanted to talk about the strange kind of things you come across in different countries,
Okay.
so that my mind went a little bit.
Went to the craziest shit you could think of.
Yep.
Yeah, there's still a bunch of crazy shit. But for the ladies who want to get pregnant, I hear they have these certain points they touch that affects the womb and makes it open.
Mm,
And then they have these herbs
mm,
that are tried and trusted.
mm,
So they boil them up, mix them up, add who knows what, and um, the lady sits on, I don't know if it's a bucket or something, and the steam gets into her to help open her up. And yes,
okay.
so it's believed that that helps ladies get pregnant. Although I don't know anyone who has
Mhm.
been successful with that. I know people who have gone through that, but they haven't been successful. So I don't know why they keep doing it. It's always hearsays. I heard someone went there and it happened. I heard. And ladies over here who, especially who have been married for a while and don't have kids, they tend to be desperate. So they go with a lot of hearsays and they get to these places just because they want kids, and which is crazy because it makes it seem like we don't have medical facilities in this country. Yeah, they're pretty messed up, but I mean, there are still ways for people to get pregnant. There's there's the you have the IVFs and the whatever is the uh what do they call them? Surrogates. You have the surrogates using
Mm,
surrogate moms, and the whole test tube. We have all that here. So I never really understand why they leave the hospitals, because they don't trust doctors, and rather they trust a scary old lady in a dirty house.
A lot cheaper too. That's another reason they don't have money for it.
Some. The people I know who went to these people, they had the money for it, so I never understood.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can kind of understand, because I've had back problems, and I've gone to like 100 different people maybe, and about 5 or 6 were doctors, and they were the least help out of everyone. And I don't think that's saying that every problem can't be solved by hospitals and doctors, but especially when it comes to muscles and tendons. Yeah. But massage too, like the reason why I trust massage is because the 4th or 5th person that I went to was incredible, and she just totally changed my life, and just she gave me awareness about my body that I didn't have before, and she taught me how to do a lot of the stuff myself too. So she was just an awesome lady. And after I left that, I left where I was living, I came back to Japan, and I've been looking for that again, and nobody has it.
Nobody has that.
Nobody has that.
Yeah.
Skill.
I can't entirely rule them out. Yeah. I don't think it would be proper, because I know I just thought about an old friend of mine who I think she broke her leg, and they were at the hospital, but they pulled her out of the hospital and took her to one of these massage places, and they stock her up with the herbs, used a bunch of leaves and shit to hold up her legs, and they said it worked better than it would have in the hospital, but I don't know. I mean, it worked. It worked, but I don't know if it worked better than it would have in the hospital. That's what I don't know. Because she still has a limp when she walks, so I mean, how much better?
From what I've
But they work.
Yeah, I've been studying Chinese massage, right? And so I think the reason why it's so easy to find these 80 places, and it's even worse when there's not the same theory, because Chinese medicine theory is really deep. The problem is it's so deep that like it's so easy to get wrong. It's so easy, like even like no matter how many years we study, if you don't have like a really sensitive touch, if you don't really listen to the person and work together with the patient and teach the patient too, I think this is where a lot of the problems come in, is that people are so unaware of their own bodies that no matter how much the doctor hits the point, the person's like tense and tight and doesn't know how to breathe and doesn't know how to relax, that it doesn't even work.
Yeah.
They go back home and have some bad habits that kind of reverse all
the entire process.
And so you have all these kind of half-assed lazy people that do it because it's such a mystery. It's such a hard thing to get results from, that people step in and just have these, half-assed procedures, or they make something up because they've never really experienced it work themselves. So they just kind of take it of people who are desperate. And I've met those people too. I've been to a few of those too, where I got really fucked up by a chiropractor before, where I'm probably still recovering from that. And I'm not saying all chiropractors are bad. There's definitely some that know what they're doing, but I got to know a chiropractor before I go to see them, because they move things around too. But there's some weird.
I think the human body itself, it's pretty tricky.
Yeah. I've done weird stuff. I did blood cupping before. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
Do you know cupping?
No, not really.
If you watch the Olympics, you might see some people with spots on their back. So they put a suction cup on your back, and it takes all the blood to the surface. So you have these red kind of hickeys on your back.
Yeah.
And so I do that not regularly, but sometimes. But then there's blood cupping, where they poke like a tiny hole, and then they do the same thing, so blood comes out into the cup, and they end up with these, cups full of blood on your back.
What is it for?
So the idea behind it, there's different levels to the theory of why it works. According to the more traditional idea, is that it gets dampness out of the body. So if there's too much, you could think of it like humidity in your body, it can get some of that out. But according to the more modern ideas, is that it can, I don't know if it's modern ideas, but according to different ideas, is that it gets older blood out of the
Bad
body.
blood. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I think yeah, I know about that. I know some people who just that. Yeah, I think I've seen something like that or heard more or less. I hear a lot of shit like that. But is it really? Do you really need to get bad blood out of the system? Is
I
it?
mean, according to Western medicine, probably not. But I mean, according to Western medicine, there's a lot of people that come and it's like they don't know what's wrong with you. There's a lot of
True.
people that are diagnosed and that there's just no answer for them in the books. You know,
Mm,
so
I guess
uh, in my experience, the cupping works pretty well. When you poke the hole, though, it takes a toll on your body a little bit. It tires you out, and
but
I'm
do
not
you
sure how to
feel
do it.
better? You feel better after it. How do you know you've gotten the bad blood out and you're not just getting way too much blood out?
Yeah, well, the color is different. That's one. So
Oh,
if it's one color, it's probably not great, right, to have in there.
okay.
But I can't. I'm not a huge proponent of that blood cupping. But as for the regular
Okay.
cup, where no blood comes out, it's just like it leaves a mark on your back. I've felt like just noticeable mobility differences just after
Hmm.
doing it. Much more flexible, and like pain disappeared in moments. Like minutes. Um, so I don't know.
But that way the blood doesn't really come out.
Yeah.
It
With
just
that,
moves to a particular point. I mean,
it moves away from wherever it was stuck, or
but it
yeah.
doesn't come out. It's just one. It's just there, and I mean, blood circulates, so it's gonna just circulate back.
Well, if it moves out of where it was stuck, the idea is that it moves out of your system.
Oh, okay. Then you poke the hole on that. Oh, I
No, no,
get it.
no,
Oh,
no, no, no. So you
oh.
don't poke the hole with this. You just it comes to so like let's say it's stuck in these tiny capillaries, and like I'm
Okay.
not a medical expert. I'm not an expert on even medicine.
Yeah, yeah.
It sucks it out of wherever it was stuck, and then
Okay.
it's able to move into the bloodstream and then come out of your body the same way everything else does.
Ew.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Okay.
But ooh, there's this other bizarre thing we do for
Mhm.
kids. I hear they do it for kids, but it's called butt pumping. Like they pump their You
Okay, we're getting into.
have to see your
Huh? Wait,
face.
wait, did my mind go the wrong way again?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. So what do I use? There are these things um like a spray gun. Let's use yes, let's use a spray gun. A water gun. Okay, yes, let's use a water gun. Something like that. But then it just has the mouth. Yes, the spray hose and all that. It just has the mouth and then it's connected to a straw that then basically there's some herbs, always herbs. I don't know what's up with these people and herbs, but they have these herbs and then pump um they pump air and that herb up the kid's butt to open
Okay.
it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's enema, though, right? That's what an enema is, I think.
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah. Yeah.
Is it? I don't know. I
I don't
don't know.
know. I
I've
don't
had
know.
something like that in the West too. It's just not for
Yes,
kids. Why?
yes, yeah. I saw someone on Hive actually
Uh,
posted something about that, about pumping stuff up their butts.
I hope there were no.
It's weird. It's weird, but they do it a lot for kids.
Why?
My parents, yeah.
Why kids?
Um, it helps with constipation, so I hear.
Yeah. Okay. I
So I'm
can.
pretty
Yeah.
that's the idea you had in your head, right? The whole butt pumping.
Well, I had these two different forks, and I was like, I hope it's this one. And that's the better of the two. Okay. Because we were talking
Yeah.
about it happening there, so.
Yeah, so they do that mostly for kids. Adults do it too, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why, but they do it too. It helps. They say it helps with constipation. I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know if it works, but it sounds like it.
It should. It should work. Yeah.
I've
And
like certain detox programs, they do something like that with putting water
yeah,
up.
yeah. And it has to be hot or something, or warm or some. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't like burn something. It's weird. It's really weird the things people I see them as risks people take with their bodies because I feel like I do we really need to do all that? I mean, can we just move on?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm worried about sharing these opinions sometimes because people get very
Sure.
but I mean I personally feel like way too much weight is put on scientific studies because there's so much like data that you can't collect. There's so much there's so many variables that you can't account for. And so just because something works in one situation doesn't mean it's going to work in another.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
like side effects that you can't measure too. So even if you say some drug doesn't have side effects, like you can't measure that person throughout life and give them they're going to live a different life than somebody else. And so you can't figure out if maybe this is dangerous for this kind of person and not that kind of person. Maybe it's dangerous for people that sleep at a certain time, or maybe it's dangerous for people.
Yeah.
There's just so many things to consider that I think it's impossible to measure. So they just do the best they can, which is good.
Yeah.
But I'm cautious about putting anything in my body.
Yes. I think one thing I learned, I think my parents had that idea and they just put it in my head, is that the body does a lot of things for itself.
Yeah.
It does a lot of self-cleaning, and yeah, there are people who unfortunately were born and their bodies can't do a bunch of things for themselves, which is sad, but naturally the body self-cleans. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
But doing a lot of extras to me, but people have their reasons,
Mhm.
it's the reason why people do these things they do. And yeah, so do we move on from the body talk? Is there any other thing? Oh, I'm pretty sure you've seen videos online of how people bathe their newborn babies' hair. Have you ever seen those?
Fake?
Ba- no, no.
My mind just
Bathe,
keeps going to the word
bathe, no, bathe, no,
bathe. Okay.
no, no, no. So they do these things to babies where where they mold their heads.
Okay, this is worse than baking. Wait, what?
So they believe that kids are born with soft heads. So when you bathe them, you can form the shape of a child's head. So you see old ladies bathing babies and newborn babies. Imagine the newest of born, it's like a week, less than a week. And they're, pressing their heads, forming it, trying to make it properly rounded and all. So they say they're molding their heads to be a particular shape, which
Beautiful shape
it's
or like a good shape for the brain or what?
I don't think it has anything to do with the brain. I think it just has to do with the aesthetics.
Like a nice shape head. Ooh,
A pretty head shape, but I don't think it works. I
okay.
don't think it works. You've never heard of that before?
I mean, I know that the kid's head is softer, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So they see that as a means to form the head. Um, it's pretty archaic. I don't know if they still do it. They still do it. Well, I haven't seen it being done, but I've been told a lot about it, and it doesn't make a lot of sense because these are genetic things. You know, a child is born with a certain. Isn't it like because of how
I
your parents are, you won't derail from your genes, so you
I'm
can't
really
exactly.
I'm open minded. If you tell me it works, I have a question mark, but it's not a yes or no. I see it enough. I'm just like, no, that guy's head is ridiculously not what it looks exactly like his father or something. Then okay, if I have to see it enough to really make a decision, I kind of have my biases where I have my guesses, but I don't know. Maybe it works. But you've seen it more.
Nah, I don't think it does. I don't think it does. Cause there are a lot of other things they do with newborn babies because they feel like that's the point where you can form a child, you know. So they try to make sure a child is extra flexible, you know. So they're bathing them, you know, stretching the joints, just making them. You should go check out videos on YouTube, girl.
How
You should.
much is it though? Like, is it hardcore stretching or is it just
No,
like,
no, 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 no. It's like really mild massage.
oh,
The
okay,
really
okay.
mild
No,
massage.
I like
Yeah,
that. Sounds good to me.
yeah. But the babies cry a lot, so you think you're
Ooh,
doing some harm.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's babies. It's babies. You know, they'll cry about anything. But yeah, they give them the whole massages. You know, just stretch their hands to their backs a bit. Just massage the shoulders to make sure that the joints are moving okay, the elbows, the knees, you know, just those joints. Although people go the extra mile,
Hmm.
there are people who go overboard and they are too
Oh,
extra. I mean, a human should not be able to bend some certain ways they bend some
cool.
kids, but yeah.
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. I would use the crying as an indicator, I think. Stretch, and if the baby
Nah,
too much, I'd be like, okay, maybe that's too far.
they cry. They,
Huh? Sorry,
nah, but they cry about everything. So I can't use the crying as an indicator. I mean, we have the ones who cry once water touches their bodies, so you can't use that as an indicator. So
that's true. I don't know.
yeah,
I'm open minded to a lot of this old stuff, but it's just it depends. I have to see it sometimes. I have to see like
me
the result,
too.
see for myself. But
Mm, true. I've seen a lot of the baby bathing, but I haven't seen the extreme ones. I think I only see the ones my mom does, and she's mild. I mean, some older ladies come around her and they're like, "You're not doing it right. Bend that muscle. Bend it a little more." And
well,
she's like, "A human shouldn't be able to bend that much."
mm, well, that's
So
with a lot of
yeah,
traditions. Though I feel like a lot of traditions they probably work if you do them the right way, but it's just there's so much variety. There's so many, there's so many. I don't know, this gets passed down through so many generations that maybe one guy
yeah, yeah.
and then everybody else got it wrong, or maybe like it was they were doing it right for 100 years, and then after that something went wrong, and I don't know.
Someone decide, yeah, humans, you know, someone decide to just change something and be like, let's not do it this way. Let's switch it up a little bit, and that's how a lot of these traditions move, and different people have different ideas on how things should be done.
Yeah.
We have a lot of that here. We
Oh.
now talk about we have a lot of those. We have a lot of those. The ones on pregnant ladies after giving birth, having
Uh-huh.
to tie up their stomachs, you know. So you still read it out by so much. I mean, they just tie it like with the
I don't know.
cloths to hold your tummy in, so the baby bump starts going in quickly. They say it works. I don't know.
I don't know. I've never watched a pregnancy. I've never watched a birth, so I don't even know how any of this stuff
Oh.
works. I feel like
Oh yeah.
you grow up in the States or Japan too. Life is really kind of like, I don't know. There's a lot of like real stuff that we're just not exposed to. Like we don't know where food comes from. It's like my father when he saw a pig's face, cut off for cooking, right? And he was like, I don't want to see something that looks like an animal. It's like, but you're eating an animal. I don't want to know that I'm eating an animal. I just want to eat my meat, right? My meat is not an animal. It's my meat, right?
It's me.
Just meat, right? Uh,
Really?
yeah, I mean, there's this idea like, so when I was in China too, I ate like, like chicken feet or something, right? And when you show that to Japanese people, they're just, because they don't eat, like Japan is much more sterile. It's much more kind of everything is clean, everything is,
Yeah.
and people are freaked out by anything that looks like a foot. I don't know if it's everyone, but frog, like, you know, a lot of different foods, like people get freaked out about it. It's like an animal, you kill an animal to eat it, right? It's, um, yeah, I don't know. My brother's not like that. He could take a bow and arrow, kill a rabbit, and then skin it and cook it. But
Yeah.
he's very strange in America. He's not normal at all. Most people are not like that.
I don't expect people to be like that there,
Oh,
but I mean here we have what we call the point and kill.
what's that?
It's so you go out and there's a fish tank
Uh-huh.
and you just point the fish you want, they pick it out and they kill it right there. So you point it and they kill it.
Hmm.
Um we we get I mean we buy live animals. You could just go
Hmm.
out buy live chicken and bring it to the house, kill
Yeah.
it, skin it, eat it. Buy a goat, do the same thing. Buy a cow,
Uh-huh.
you do the same thing.
That's
Yeah.
that's that's life. But I feel like what the closer you are to the suburbs, the more
Yeah.
in the suburbs, it's just it's very not real. Like people just don't know how life works. So like I was never exposed to a pregnancy. Like I mean I've seen pregnant
Ooh.
women before, but
What
I've
happens after? You never
I
really.
know how the baby comes out. I probably saw a
Ooh.
documentary once, but turned away. It was um,
Yeah. Yeah.
kids. So
Get that. I think that comes from communal living to a large
yeah.
extent. Yeah. So while I may have not okay, no, yeah, I have been exposed to that based on my brother's wives and all that. But even before then, I had neighbors, so they would give birth and my mom would have to go over take care of the newborn. So raising a child was not just a one family thing, it was a
Mhm.
village, it takes a village to raise a kid. So we had a lot of those. So I guess that got us exposed to these things. Even at a very young age, I was less than 10. I started babysitting newborns when I was like 6.
Mhm.
So I had those kind of exposures. And I guess that makes us more aware and these things aren't really foreign anymore.
Yeah. No, I think like a lot of people in the States and probably in Japan too. I can't say everywhere, but at least like in the suburbs, in the city, um, they never see. It's like they don't meet children until they have children or their friends have children. Uh,
I can
I was a kid
totally
once,
get
and then
that.
like I didn't see kids for a very long time, and now like I have some friends that have kids, and it's like, oh, kids are like this, right? And I learn every time that I hang out with my friends that have little kids,
Yeah.
because I spent 20 years without any kids around.
So
I mean,
yeah, that
in
is
some
how it should be though. That is how it should be.
why, what,
I mean, spending a lot of time without having to see kids. I mean, it should be that way. It
why?
should be. Sometimes it gets tiring. Gets pretty tiring. I mean, these aren't my kids, so why do I have to see you so often? You're not
Yeah,
mine.
yeah.
But yeah, it comes up. I mean, I guess I mentioned I have a pretty large family, so I'm the last kid, so I get see. I think about how many of my siblings have kids? Um, 1, 2, 3, about four. Three of my siblings have kids, so and they have like I have like seven nephews. So I can't really avoid seeing kids that much. I can't really avoid their stories and all. So
Yeah. But
that
how
happens.
old were they when they had kids though?
I think a lot of them were in their thirties. Their
Okay.
thirties when they had kids. Yeah.
I know in
Oh no,
between.
we didn't have we do have people who give birth to kids pretty young. So
Oh,
I know I have a cousin. I have a cousin who's my age, she's about 24. And she started having kids when she was about 16 or less. I think at the time I met her when I was 16, she had about three kids then at 16. So people start having kids pretty early. And her mom had her when she was about 16 as well. So we have the generation that keeps on having young children.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and you know that people have kids like chickens over here. So no they have so many children. Like
How many siblings do you have?
I have seven.
Uh-huh. That's
We're
considered
eight.
average, or is that considered low?
Depends on who you ask.
Uh,
Depends on who you ask. My
really
mom's dad, my mom's dad had about 33 children.
excuse me?
Yeah.
Like you said a lot, and I'm like, okay, yeah, seven sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
33
So yeah, 33. So my mom
multiple
has like
wives, right?
um and a lot of wives.
Yeah,
Like
I can't imagine one woman having 33 children. That sounds
no, no, no. No.
intense.
I think no. I think my mom's we just have this generation of eight. So my mom's mom had eight kids
Okay.
and the other wives had the rest. And I think my dad's great grandfather had over 50 children. So with a lot of wives. And the African thing, the richer a man is, the more kids he has.
Okay. I thought it was like a Fela Kuti thing because he's like famous and like because I know Fela Kuti had what 30 something kids, right?
Oh yeah, yes.
So I
Did
thought
he
that's
have? I think he
famous.
had more than that. I mean, those are the ones that you know of. They're
Yeah.
always more than. They don't count. I mean, someone could just walk in the house and be like, "Hey, I'm this guy's child." Where are you coming from? We haven't met you before. Like, I mean, I look like him, and they always look like their fathers. I don't know why it happens that way. Just walk in and like, he's my dad.
Uh, I
Welcome
am
to the family.
just because he's famous and successful that,
Yeah.
but I guess it's I guess
Yeah, yeah, it's
anyone
the
who
same
can.
thing. Yeah, like my mom's dad was a wealthy fisherman, so he had businesses all around. So he had business partners from other states.
Uh-huh.
This was a story I got. So was it my grandmom? Yeah, my grandmom. She was like a present from a friend. So a friend of his traveled in from the east to his house, and they're like, "Oh, you're a good guy. Here's my daughter, marry her." And she was like a gift. So I don't really know much about is it my great grandmom? Yeah, I think my great grandmom. Yeah, so I don't really know much about her. So I got my complexion from her and everything, because every other person is dark, and she's the only really fair person, really light skinned person we have, because every other person is dark skinned, and then her genes just came down, and we don't even know where she's from.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
It, so he already had other wives at that point.
of course,
Uh,
yeah, she was just a present.
okay. Does that depend on the tribe, or is that like just any tribe has people that have multiple wives?
As far as I know, I think every Nigerian tribe has those. It's the rich guy thing. It's a rich man thing.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's really common though.
It's very common. Although now they're trying to make it seem less common. But I mean, we have a guy who's married to one wife and then he has kids with other women. It's pretty much still polygamy,
Oh, okay.
just not married to them, but you still have kids with other women. So,
How do you feel about it?
um, I don't like it. I don't. I really don't like it, but it is what it is, you know. These things happen, and while I am more or less pro abortion, a lot of people aren't. So you can't blame them for keeping kids. You know, everybody sees the kid as a blessing. So you never know what this child's future is going to hold. I think where I'm totally against it is where there's no money, and they do that a lot here. They have so many kids where there's no money. I have this cousin who's in her early 30s, and this lady has like 9 children in her early 30s, and they don't even have a proper house. She just kept on having children and having children. They don't have money. They don't have a proper roof over their heads. The kids don't have good clothes, and all they do is just have children.
Mm.
For who to take care of? Nobody. The kids just stay there. By the time her daughter is 12, she's already pregnant because there's not much care. And to me, that's where it gets wrong. Yeah, so we have a lot of that here, especially, I think it happens especially where I'm from. From the southern part of Nigeria. It's a very common thing down south for people to just have kids without any thoughts, just have kids and throw them into the world. And, from the
What's
age of 2.
the north and the south then? Why is it more common in the north in the south?
Um, Honestly, I have no idea why it's more common in the south. I have no idea. I really don't know. In the north, they also have a plethora of children, but I think there they have some kind of care, I guess. Sometimes. Sometimes.
Uh,
Oh,
why does everyone want to have so many kids though? Like, what's the motivation for that?
sorry, I didn't get the question.
What's the motivation for having so many kids? Just spreading DNA, or is
I
it
don't know. Boredom. Boredom.
boredom?
Boredom. Mostly boredom.
Like they don't know what
Yeah,
else to do. Yeah.
they don't know what else to do. So no, let's just keep having kids. Okay, for my cousin, she wanted a male child. So she has like 8 females and finally got a male. They still do that here. Yeah, they still do that. So the male gender is seen as superior most times.
Well, when I was in China, the idea was basically that kids are a lottery ticket. So if you have one that's successful, then everything works out for the whole family. And so it's kind of, I mean, it's not that situation for everyone, but the older generation basically feels like, because it's not really the same social security or anything like that. So they want to have enough kids where one can be successful and then take care of the parents. And so, if your siblings are successful, you have a lot of pressure taken off. If they're not, then you have a lot of pressure put on. And yeah, and so the younger generation now, they're basically feeling like it costs too much money to raise a kid, where it's not even worth that kind of investment as the older
Yeah.
generations. Yeah, and also I
Yeah.
think younger people have this idea that like everyone kind of owns themselves and their parents don't own them. So it's definitely changing. But yeah, I mean, in America and Japan, it's just it's the opposite. Everyone, because it's the price of living has been. It's basically like things work if you for my parents' generation. If they worked hard and they did their thing, then everything worked out well for them. And so they realized like, oh, it's not worth having more than 2 kids, because if I have 2 kids, I
Yeah.
can have a life with 2 kids, and if I have more, it's going to be a pain in the ass. And I think that's how that kind of tradition, I guess you could call it, of having lots of kids. Although I don't think 33 was ever a thing. And
No, that was a sign of wealth. 33
uh-huh.
was a sign of wealth. He's a rich
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. But do you think that most men in Nigeria want to have that many kids?
No,
Okay.
no, right now, no. Because
Okay.
right now there's a large sense of responsibility and things aren't as cheap as they used to be. You know, although things weren't as very easy for my family, but my dad was able to handle having 8 kids. I mean, we all got through the university. We're all, well taken care of. Even after the university, they still, take care of us if they need to. But that was because during the early times, they had kids when things were cheaper.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you had my dad at his 50s with 8 children, and then my fees, my tuition in primary school was $1 and the equivalent of $1. That's how much they paid for
Eh?
tuition. Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
what about that?
$1.
$1 for how long?
3 months, every 3 months.
Every 3 months. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
But still, so
It was pretty much free. It was pretty much free. They just had to
wow,
put a figure on it so it wouldn't seem like a kid is getting free education.
wow. Eh?
Yeah.
Why was it so cheap?
Um, it was a kind of school. It
Uh-huh.
was one of the good schools, but it was in a university campus.
Mhm.
So my dad was a lecturer there, so I got the privilege of being a lecturer's kid. But
Uh,
even at that, the normal tuition was times four, that $4 per
oh,
term.
okay. So, but that's still
Still
crazy.
wasn't exactly, it still wasn't that bad.
Uh-huh.
Compared to now, that same school, the same school, I think they pay over $60
Okay, okay.
right now every term. So my parents could afford it then. It was pretty cheap then compared to now. You see the difference from like $1 to 60.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. But the
So
university costs in America?
sorry?
Do you know how much university costs in America?
Oh, I do. I
Yeah,
do. I do.
yeah,
I have done my research. I have. I have.
yeah.
It's pretty expensive for people there in America, let alone here when we try to gain admission to universities there. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I've Yeah, no, there's no easy way to put it. I actually did cancel American universities from my list. I'm not even trying.
Mm, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's it's really hard to imagine the different like kind of um how do you say that? Just the the price of different things in different countries. It's incredibly complex. It's not like, oh, this country is just cheaper and that country is more expensive. It's like sometimes just things are inverted and strange too. Like like in Japan, in America, for example, the health insurance, university, all insurance really, and university medical care, things like that are just crazy. But when it comes to entertainment and things like that, it's relatively cheap.
Well,
Um, yeah, I mean, compared to Europe, compared to Japan. Um,
okay.
but Japan, on the it's switched where the insurance and things like that are definitely cheaper than America. University, I think, is about. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly, but it's at least a quarter of the price, or it's at least half the price of America. So
Really?
yeah,
Huh.
and then like
I'm
just
not
everyday
research.
household goods in Japan are also much cheaper. Like forks and knives and plates and things like
Hmm?
that. Um, but like if you want to get a beer here outside, oof, probably twice as much as. And
Oh,
it's hard to say too
shoot.
because if you lived in one city in America, it's going to be different than another city. So
Oh, okay. Not
yeah, like
gonna.
if you want to see a band, when I was in university, I went to concerts basically every day because it was like $5, where it's about $5 is the cost of a meal.
Oh
That's
yeah.
probably cheaper than a meal. It could be $5 for entry or $10 for entry, whereas here it'll be
That's
$30
pretty cheap.
for entry. Sometimes for a local band,
Whoa.
$30 for one night out, and that's like on the cheap end where you're trying to save money. So entertainment here is
Yeah.
crazy. It's like anything you do for entertainment, it's way more expensive here. But everybody does it because they want to have fun, so they're willing to spend the money. You know, some people I know they spend most of their money on entertainment here.
Yeah.
They eat
I think as
our food just to be able to. Anyways,
yeah. I think entertainment here is very, very cheap. Like compared to every other thing you just mentioned, entertainment here is extremely cheap. You know, I've had friends who have stayed in the UK and in the US, and they come to Nigeria, they come back home, and they're like, "Yo, Nigeria is pretty good though. I have to give my country some credit. Like, there's almost no amount of entertainment you want somewhere else that you can't have here, and it's so much cheaper.
yeah.
It's a lot cheaper, you know. They still have their expensive concerts because if you want to go to a concert with an A-list Nigerian artist, you know you have to spend between the equivalent of what figure can I use? $50 to $100, yeah, for a good seat.
$100 for a concert in Nigeria.
For an A-list artist, you know, we're talking
That's still crazy though, because
is
just
it?
to the like the average, because the thing is it's like different scales, right? So if you're making this much money every month and then something costs this much, then like compared to the average salary, what is that?
Okay, yes, if
Right?
you want to compare it to the average
Yeah,
salary, if you want to
yeah.
compare it, but we're talking an A-list artist, I mean, but those are for good seats. I think you could get for like $20. That's like maybe the cheapest.
Okay, all right.
That's the
That makes
cheapest.
sense. Yeah. That's about the same in Japan. So A-list artist here, maybe it's $100 something for regular seats, and then there's crazy seats that like most people don't think about paying for.
Yeah, we could get seats for up to $1,000. There are seats tables that go for about 1,000.
There's a huge gap,
Yeah, yeah.
kind of
But it's for
standard.
like a table, so maybe that could cover like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
even in the country, like there's so much variety in just the standard of living. Not only like what is standard of living? It's like some things are so easy in some places, and so I don't know. It's a much bigger topic than most people give it credit for. Uh,
within a country, right?
yeah, one country, so it's like
Oh, yes.
expensive is probably it's not even close to what some other people consider expensive in both directions. You know,
That is
so
true. That
yeah,
is true. That is very true. I've had the experience of living in different parts of Nigeria. I think I've been
yeah,
lucky enough. So down south, you notice that things are a lot more expensive than up north.
just
And I'm not just sorry.
because it's close to Lagos.
No, I don't think Lagos has anything. Lagos is unnecessarily expensive.
Uh,
I'm not a fan of Lagos. I'm not a Lagos fan.
uh-huh.
I think I've been to Lagos just once. I'm not a fan of the place. It's unnecessarily stressful and yeah, stressful and expensive unnecessarily for me. But I'm talking down. Lagos is considered south as well, apparently southwest. But I'm talking about the major southern places. You know, we have Port Harcourt, Bayelsa, Delta, and the likes. They're quite a lot more expensive than the middle belt and the north. I'm talking housing, I'm talking food, I'm talking entertainment, everything. And what's crazy is they're more expensive, but the middle belt and the north have better amenities than the south.
Really?
Yeah, they do. So where I stayed in the middle belt, we had like almost uninterrupted power supply for an entire year, which is a big deal over here. But I mean, I've been talking to you and they've taken my power like twice.
What?
Since I've been talking to you, they've taken my power like twice. They just took it not long ago.
What do you mean? The
Power, like power outage.
And so, so you're using you're not using Wi-Fi. You're using data from the.
Yeah. Mobile data.
Okay, so the phone doesn't go out, but the
No,
everything else.
everything else, my lights out.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just surprised you can still use the internet like nothing's wrong when that happens.
Yeah. No, it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't just affect. I mean, there's no power. I can't charge my phone. Can't
Okay, yeah.
use the
Like
TV and the light.
powers everything here. Because we live in
Yeah.
these cities with like, so if the lights go off here, you can't see me. There's no light coming in from outside, even during the
Yeah.
daytime.
They just brought it back. Just came back.
Yeah. I it's just I think the hard thing to imagine for people in the States, a lot of other countries about Nigeria and probably other places in Africa, is that life is not that different in some situations in some places, and then the power goes off, and it's like, oh, life as
Oh,
usual.
okay.
Like
Yeah.
we
Back
put
to reality.
we imagine extremes, right? So we see the nice areas and we imagine, oh, it's really fancy. Or we see the poor areas and we imagine it's really poor. And it's hard to imagine just how these different things intersect, you know.
Yeah.
No matter where you are, the power can go out in Nigeria.
You could
Yeah.
be in like the best areas. Like I've stayed in some of the coolest places and power goes out.
Yeah.
Some really nice place. I'm talking federal capital, like expensive as houses and power goes out. Why is it going out? Like can't it just stay? Like this house is too fine for us to go through this. House
Yeah.
is too nice. But it's still Nigeria, you still go through the Nigerian thing. But I guess for the most part, we learn to survive without a lot of things easily.
Yeah.
So you'd be I mean, why would your internet be connected to your be connected to power supply here? No.
Here it is, you know. Oh, you hear me?
I missed that.
I said here it is. So like I usually connect to like a wall kind of plugged in Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I know about them. I know about them.
Yeah.
I have had experience. I stayed like a month in the UK with my
Yeah.
sister, so I know how it works. I
Uh-huh.
know how her internet and all that works.
Yeah.
But it's not like that here. It's not because you
Yeah.
can't depend on it. So why do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Also,
can't build your life on something you can't depend on.
the price difference is huge too, right? Between buying a Wi-Fi router and using cell phone data, right?
Yeah, it is. It
Uh,
is. The amount you pay for data is a lot, I
mm,
guess. I heard we pay a lot more than most people around the world, I guess. Cause okay, a friend of mine is about to do a plan for an entire year that's supposed to cost about $200 for data for the entire year.
oh.
So I don't know.
It's hard to imagine too, because like how much is a meal, how much they make per month, right? It's just a totally different situation.
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's an entire year, so you're not just looking at per month. You could calculate that based on what they earn per year.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, to us, that's expensive. To me, that's outrageously expensive.
Yeah.
That's like over, that's about 100,000 naira. And
Uh-huh.
that's expensive. I won't do that.
I feel
I'm
like
not doing
to
that.
understand other countries, we kind of have to. I feel like we really need to set a standard which is based on like how much meals cost and um, how much rent costs. You know, like, but then that's also hard to measure because there's different living conditions, so, right? It's just totally different situation.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Um, no, I don't think you can.
yeah,
These things to me they're pretty independent, how much meals cost depends on where you are,
right. And it depends
where
on
you live.
thing too.
Yeah, depends on your standard of living. Where
Yeah.
you decide to live depends on your standard of living. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
you,
people
you
in a lot
could
of countries think I'm fancy for going out all the time, but like it costs
cheap.
almost the same thing to cook here. It's really expensive.
Yeah,
So I'm just like,
yeah.
if it
I
costs like 10%, 20% more, I'd rather just go out.
I have that experience as well with right. I'm currently in Port Harcourt, but my parents live in Bielsa. So in Bielsa, things they're side by side. These two states are side by side. It's like a 2 hours drive from between them. But in Bielsa, things are so cheap. Entertainment to me, like I could go to a somewhat fancy restaurant and I could spend a lot less than I would in Port Harcourt, and I would have a good time. But you come to Port Harcourt and you're spending more to go to the same kind of places you go to in Bielsa. I mean, it's the same food. There's no big difference between the food. It's just location and industrialization, so to say. Because Bielsa is pretty local, but they still have nice shit there.
But I guess the local people, the income's probably lower there, right?
A lot lower, a lot lower.
Yeah.
But I mean, you want fancy food, you get your fancy food. I mean, that's what we're paying for,
Yeah.
and it's cheaper. These days, we even pay more for locations than even nice food. I don't know why.
You mean like just atmosphere?
Yeah, pay for atmosphere.
Yeah.
Pretty pictures.
I get it to some extent, but there's just like sometimes it's just way too ridiculous.
It's what I mean, they make the restaurants look pretty so you can take pretty pictures. They know what they're selling. They're
Yeah.
selling more of atmosphere than nice food.
Yeah. Yeah.